Let's do it.
This is the SEC Insider Hit. And it's presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. It's good to be blue.
Good morning. Welcome in. The madness is here. You're going to hear brackets, buzzer beaters, upsets, chalk, Cinderella, parlays. When you're hanging out with your buddies at work the next few days, among other terms, right? And here's what we know. This is pretty good. March Madness stats and facts, 16.3 billion corporate losses due to unproductive workers during March Madness. Our next guest will lead the way in that. Dave Bartoo, the Matrix. Now he's a college basketball insider. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Bartoo, what's up, buddy?
Dude, I don't understand the loss of productivity. I don't do anything less this week than I ever do. That's weird.
Man, you have been on when it comes to college basketball and the numbers and betting and all that, when did you start? A couple weeks ago?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago this Monday. And I started posting on my projections for every basketball game. And I was projecting against the spread, and I was projecting against the betting total. And over the next 12 days? So from Monday, like February 28th through last Sunday, the model, if you throw out all games where I projected within a point, there's a bunch of them, I finished 74 games above 500 projecting basketball games. And I started it last year because I had an AD call me at the beginning of March and was like, hey, you know that thing you do with football coaches for scoring efficiency and stuff, high level? I'm like, yeah. He goes, did you do that for basketball? No, but I can. So, of course, I go down this rabbit hole for the next 3 days of college basketball coaching performance and data and scoring efficiency. And it turns out, and then I applied my NFL model to it, and it turns out that scoring efficiency at basketball is exactly the same as scoring efficiency at football. It's the same thing, right? You got an offense, you got a defense, and yeah, the scoreboard is kind of the same, right? You got two sides to it, and there's just a couple of different ways to score in basketball, but it all is kind of the same thing. And then I applied my NFL model to it, which works really good when the team talent is even. Doesn't work in college basketball or football because, well, the talent is so imbalanced there. And so I did the March Madness tournament last year, and I'll be damned if the first two rounds the totals weren't hot. I mean, just filthy hot on the right side of the totals. And then once the Sweet 16 rolled around, boom, spread, cover. And it got hot when the talent got even. So, you know, I got it back, dug it back out a couple weeks ago, and dude, here we are. I don't watch any of the basketball games anymore than the football games, but you know, I mean, numbers are the numbers. I actually watched Alabama this last Sunday.
Did you? A&M?
Yeah, Alabama A&M, and you know, and I'm watching this. I'm like, holy crap, Bama! Everybody on the floor for Bama is bigger than everybody on A&M. And I'm like, and I know that this is college basketball. I mean, it's a championship game. All these dudes are ginormous.
Right.
And Alabama was just heads and tails, longer, lean. I was like, wow, okay, now I see why people like Alabama, because that was a frightening team. I mean, absolutely frightening team.
Hey, Dave Bartoo's been on a I guess, handicapping rampage for college basketball the last part of the season, and definitely conference tournament games. When you look at Mississippi State and Pitt tonight, what do you see in this game?
Okay, well, let's start with what's really important. Okay, what do we bet?
Absolutely.
No, seriously, right? I mean, I didn't realize there were so many basketball games to bet on the last 2 weeks. It was they undermarket the heck out of championship week in college basketball. It's unbelievable. There's 30, 40, 50 games a night to bet on, and they don't even market this stuff. They're so missing the boat. So with Mississippi State Pittsburgh, what I did is I looked at the transition in the game. Okay, so if they'd have played 2 weeks ago, I would have had this 71-68 Pittsburgh. If they played it last week, I would have been at 73-71 Pittsburgh. Now, when they play this game tonight, I'm at 75-73 Pittsburgh. So we've had this creep. Mississippi State's offense has gotten better. Pittsburgh's offense has gotten better over the last couple of weeks. And so right now I see a total. It's sitting at 133. I'm projecting 147, almost 148. So to me, my favorite bet in this one is the over. Now, I think the line right now, Mississippi State are they favored by 2.5?
Blake, I saw it at 1.5. What is the latest?
1.5, yeah. My numbers, it opened at Pittsburgh -1, and then it shot way over to the other side. And you could have got Mississippi State -2.5. To me, I think the right side on this one is taking the points with Pittsburgh. Not saying Pittsburgh will win. I think this is going to be a very tight basketball game.
It is 2.5. Bartoo.
It is 2.5. Right?
Yeah,
so
Mississippi State favored by 2.5.
Right, so I'm at 3. So I can get Pittsburgh plus 2.5. I like that bet.
Okay.
As well in the game tonight. I think the game, when you look at how this game breaks down, from 3-point land, I have Pittsburgh by 9 from 3.
Wow.
From inside the line, I have Mississippi State by 6. Okay, so I think really and then from the free throw line, I have Pittsburgh by 2. They get to the line a little bit better than Mississippi State on the year, which is interesting because the SEC is the most whistle-happy conference in college basketball. Almost said football there. Boy, that is a hard habit.
Is it really?
Yeah. Dude, there's more foul shots in the SEC per possession than any of the other, 26,000 Division I conferences? No, it is the SEC crews. It is now. You could also say it's also the physicality of it. I mean, you know, there's two ways of looking at it. But when I look at it from my point of view, I look at it as foul shots per possession. Mm-hmm. And in the SEC, there are more foul shots per possession, per live ball possession, than any other conference in the country for the year. So the fact that Mississippi State doesn't produce a lot of free throws is interesting because they get a lot of points from inside the 3-point line. So maybe with the new head coach, it's a bit of a dichotomy, and they weren't getting the whistles as maybe a veteran coach might get. I'm not sure.
That's an interesting point.
Right. So I think this game, this is going to come down to, because Mississippi State's going to get by the numbers, what I'm looking at, State's going to get their points in the paint. They're going to get their points inside the arc. Okay. How well can they close out on 3, or how hot is Pittsburgh shooting from 3? I think Pittsburgh win or dies in this game from 3. But
I agree.
If we're betting it over 133, Pittsburgh plus 2.5 this morning.
Okay, Pittsburgh. You like Pittsburgh. You like the points, mm-hmm. and you like the over, and you like Pitt from 3-point land. And no, I'm looking at the. I mean, it's pretty obvious when you look at the deal. All right. So are there some, what trends have you been following? I mean, does this still come down to offensive and defensive scoring efficiency? You're applying what you did for football into basketball, Bartoo? Exactly.
Well, that's what I've always said, right? Scoring efficiency is king in football. Okay. In college football. And I think we had 17 conference champions, crowned in their tournaments. And over the previous 4 weeks, the number 1 total scoring efficiency team won 13 of those conference championship games. It's just scoring per possession. And how much do you give up? It's no different. It's almost no different than college football, except it's a lot more exciting because the games are always close.
Right.
and you get them every night. I mean, nothing against college football, but we got to wait till every Saturday, and boom, it's gone. And with basketball, it is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You can bet games, you can sweat games all week. It's phenomenal how games turn around. But no, it really just comes down to how efficient are you with the basketball on both ends of the floor.
Okay, have you gotten into like seating and stuff like that?
Oh yeah. So let's check out a bracket. So look, Alabama's good. Okay, Purdue is good. I mean, if they played today, I have it 67.89 to 67.76.
My gosh, between
Okay,
Alabama and Purdue, both number one seeds. That's incredible.
They're just right on top of each other.
Okay.
Absolutely right on top of each other. So let's look at a bracket that sucks. Okay. And we'll talk about this one because there's an SEC team in there. Well, actually, there's two SEC teams in there. All right. Now, I know I just said Mississippi State is going to lose tonight. All right. We'll take that with a grain of salt. The plus side is their bracket is weak as heck, dude. Really, really weak. In fact, over the last 4 weeks, the best performing team in that bracket is Texas A&M. So that bottom of that bracket, so you got A&M and Penn State. Whoever wins that A&M and Penn State game, I think they're going to be in the Final Four. That's the Final Four team.
Wow.
That's Texas A&M, Penn State, Texas. I think that quadrangle there at the bottom of that bracket, I think that is where you're going to get a Final Four team from, because Houston, look, their big guys hurt. They haven't been playing that great. Auburn is probably the worst scoring efficiency SEC team over the last 4 weeks coming into the draw. Miami isn't even top 100 in scoring efficiency. They're solid. I like Miami out of that bracket right now.
Jim Larinaga. He's like 70 years old. It's a great story. He goes down to Miami and has won a bunch of games. Interesting. So far, listeners, that's the Houston bracket that Bartoo is referencing. They're number one. They didn't play well in the championship game against Memphis and Penny Hardaway on Sunday. And Bartoo feels like if you're taking this top to bottom compared to the other three brackets, this is the weakest bracket. And it happens to be if Mississippi State wins tonight, they would advance to play Iowa State in this bracket in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Yeah, so it is, like I said, I think that's the weakest bracket there, and I think there's opportunity. Indiana, oh, dude, Indiana's if there's an upset alert that I'm taking inside the numbers right off the bat, it's going to be Kent State and Indiana. Indiana's been playing terrible basketball by the numbers in the last month. So that's going to be an interesting bracket because I think there's going to be upsets all over the place, and I don't think Houston's going to get there. Somebody's going to take advantage of the opportunity. I'm thinking it's going to be Texas A&M, Penn State. I know it sounds funny, but I think that's the biggest game in that entire bracket because I think the winner of that, they have the ability and they have been playing like a team that is going to make the Final Four out of that bracket over the last 4 weeks.
Okay, do you have anything on some of the 2 seeds? And let me go over those guys. UCLA, Marquette, Arizona, and Texas. As far as scoring efficiency, when you combine it and so on, right. Out of those four, who's the strongest?
Texas a little bit there. I think Texas, by the numbers, no matter who Texas plays, A&M or Penn State, I'm not taking Texas. I'm taking Penn State or A&M right now. I don't care if Texas is a 2 seed. And look, I know the model said they beat Kansas straight up by 7. But the Big 12 hasn't been playing that good of basketball overall. Arizona, UCLA, both of them top 50 in total team scoring efficiency. They're both excellent, but UCLA, careful on betting that. They've been banged up as well. And then what was the other 2 seed?
Marquette.
UCLA, Arizona, Marquette. Dude, these non-football basketball teams drive me crazy. How am I supposed to? And then when they win, it's like, oh, Kent State's against Toledo or Akron in the championship. I'm like, no, they suck at football. How are they playing each other? Nobody's going to watch that. But Marquette, hard to gauge on that just because the talent level in that conference, I know everybody says, oh, it's equal to everybody else. They don't play everybody else, so I'm not 100% buying that. But Marquette defensively has been really good. I think that team that to look at there is really Xavier. Xavier, solid on offense, a little weak on defense. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's really hard for me to judge these teams that, I see as kind of imbalanced from a talent standpoint. How well can they really play in the tournament?
Hey, give me the top 10 scoring efficiency teams.
Oh, geez.
Do you have it? I mean, I obviously Bama and Purdue are way up there because you just referenced if they played today, it would be like 0.3 difference in the two teams. Point.
Right. Well, now there's a couple of different efficiencies here. We got offensive scoring efficiency and defensive scoring efficiency. Okay,
and then the combined.
Both sides. So the big teams that are top in offensive scoring efficiency, Gonzaga's number one.
Okay.
No shock. Okay. They're averaging 1.35 points per live ball possession, number one in the country for the last 4 weeks.
Mark Few is a dude. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, but look at the talent level, man. I mean, it's the gap between them and everybody else is stupid. It's like putting Alabama in the Mountain West.
Right.
Come on.
So when you look at Gonzaga, you have to say, hey, they're superior than everybody else that they play out there when they go 29-3 every year or whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I don't want to play spreads with Gonzaga. I'll play totals with them, but not spreads because I just can't, I can't put the pencil to it.
Okay.
Michigan State, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is number 3 of the big teams in scoring efficiency over the last 4 weeks. Clemson, Arizona, Maryland, Penn State. Let's see here, some other big teams down there. USC, UCLA. So there's your offensive, and this is the last 4 weeks, keep in mind, not the whole season. So those are your really good offensive teams in that regard. Defensively, UCLA defensively, very, very good. That's Alabama, number 2 of the big teams in the last 4 weeks defensively. So,
wow.
Look out there. Purdue, UConn, Duke, UCF, Kansas, Tennessee, and even Mississippi State. Mississippi State is top 15 in defensive scoring efficiency of the quote unquote Power 5 in the tournament right now. So defensive, I mean, this is a great matchup tonight. I mean, you got a top 20 defense, Power 5 defense versus a top 5 Power 5 offense tonight in Mississippi State, Pittsburgh. I think it's a travesty that these teams got to play into the tournament because they're better than a lot of teams that are in there right now.
Dang, Pitt's that good on offense, Bartoo?
Yeah, they're number 3 in scoring efficiency over the last 4 weeks. So now Mississippi State has improved it. 2 weeks ago, they were 315th in the country over the last 4 weeks. Since then, they're moved up to 258th. Now, that doesn't sound great, but that's middle of the pack. That's solid.
And that's with the game against Bama in there, which Bama is arguably the best team in the country. Or do you even factor that in? No,
it's in there. It's in there, but as a handicapper, right? If you're betting these games, you have to look at it and go, okay, these numbers also include playing Alabama and this team and that team, and you start putting things in there and how tough was the schedule. That's why I like going back 4 weeks because you're going to get a mix of good and bad teams.
Okay. So, what is the difference between Bama and Purdue and Kansas? None.
Not a whole lot. Oh, I'm not that high on Kansas, man.
Okay.
Kansas defensively is really, really solid. But offensively over the last 4 weeks, let me see if I can find them real quick. Because they were favored by 2.5 in that Big 12 championship game, and I had Texas by 8. Kansas, last 4 weeks, defensive scoring efficiency, 206th. Their offensive scoring efficiency is 206. They're an offensive liability.
Okay.
So
they do.
I don't see this as a national championship contending team. Talent-wise, sure, right? I mean, they recruit to that level. That's an easy conversation.
Right.
But when I look at the combination, I think their weakness, if they're going to get beat, it'll be because offensive inefficiency in a big ball game. I don't see them as a national title contender right now.
All right.
Yeah.
So you really like Bama and you really like Purdue as far as number one seeds. You like Kansas a little bit, and you're like, hell no on Houston.
I like Kansas a little bit. Houston, I'm not sold on Houston because they're in the AAC. They got a guy hurt, and their play over the last they've been on a real roller coaster as well. Offensively, they just really can shut down. I gravitate towards those teams that I rattled off that are really good at something. Right. You're really good at something. That's why I see, like, the winner of Pittsburgh, Mississippi State, whether Pittsburgh wins or not, or Mississippi State wins or not, okay, I think there is a huge opportunity in that bracket. I think those two teams, just like A&M and Penn State, I think those two teams are massively undersold because the winner of that game, I got them by the numbers. I have them projected to beat Iowa State. And then I have that team projected to beat Indiana. So the winner of the Pitt-Mississippi State game, I'm not going to be surprised to see him in the Sweet 16. That's the opportunity those two teams have. That's how good I believe they are on paper to get there in the bracket that they're in.
Damn. All right, now Mississippi State fans will really be freaking out today all the way up until 8:10 tonight for the tip-off between MSU and Pitt. I didn't realize I knew they were good. I didn't realize they were that good on the offensive end. So this is a phenomenal team on the offensive end in Pitt and a phenomenal defensive team in Mississippi State going against each other. What gives on a neutral floor tonight? Okay, cool. Yeah,
that's exactly what it is, and I think you're playing for a lot more than this game. I think the winner of this is going to face Miami for in the Sweet 16.
Damn. All right, we'll leave it there. Bartoo, I love it. I love that Bartoo got into college basketball because an athletic director asked him about a couple of coaches, and he said, okay, let me do a deep dive. And then this man's been ripping off tweets the last 2 weeks, sleeping an hour and a half a night and betting on every, like he said, all 84 conferences, which I can't keep up with in college basketball. But I love it. I love this time of year. And, hey, Bartoo, real quick. It's National Potato Chip Day.
National Potato Chip Day.
Yeah, is there a potato chip that, Lay's, Ruffles, Pringles, Nachos, anything that jumps out at Bartoo?
No. Oh, no, I can. Now, if somebody makes good nachos,
yeah,
I can eat that to death. I'm not a big chip guy, but if I had to just go one that I've loved my whole life, it's Doritos.
Okay, perfect. I love them
Doritos.
too. All right, thank you, brother. Be good. See ya.
Take it easy. Thanks.
Dave Bartoo, wild man, numbers nerd, March Madness, giving you some insight on what you need to do on your Out of Bounds Bracket Challenge. It's pinned at Bo Bounds on Twitter and Facebook. Search the Out of Bounds Show. Jump in the Out of Bounds Bracket Challenge. If you win it all, it's going to be great prizes and gifts, and we'll also have some goodies for runner-up. We're going to be on the road the rest of the week. But hit Apple Podcasts, search Out of Bounds with Bo Bounds for the pod. See you.